Imagine you're sitting in a grand hotel in Biarritz. The air is salt-heavy, and the sound of high-performance engines is beginning to punctuate the quiet elegance of the French coast. This is where our story begins, with a chance encounter that feels like it was written in the stars, though the characters might call it something else. Christopher Trevenna, a man living under an alias to hide his true identity as the son of a banished Spanish general, sees Lady Monica Vale for the very first time. It isn't a slow, sweeping moment of cinematic romance, it's triggered by the sudden, jarring sight of the King of Spain's motorcade. In that flash of chrome and speed, Trevenna is struck by an obsession that will drive him across the rugged landscapes of Spain. But this isn't just a simple romance. Trevenna is the Marquess de Casa Triana, a man with a stolen or at least a contested legacy, and Monica is the prize in a much larger, much more dangerous social game. She is the daughter of the ambitious Countess of Vale, Avon, a woman who sees her daughter not as a person, but as a bridge to the highest echelons of Spanish power. To secure that bridge, the Countess is pressuring Monica into a marriage with the Duke of Carmona. The Duke is everything a high society match should be: wealthy, powerful, and utterly ruthless. When Trevenna tries to make his move, attempting to win Monica at a masked ball, he finds that the world of high society is a fortress. He is publicly rejected and warned by the Duke himself to leave Spain immediately. For most men, this would be the end of the pursuit, but Trevenna isn't most men. He has the impulse of a racer and the heart of a man with nothing left to lose. This is where the book earns its title, and where the story shifts from a social drama into a high-speed adventure. Trevenna, joined by his pragmatic friend Dick Waring, begins a relentless pursuit of the Duke's party across the Spanish landscape. This isn't a chase on horseback or in slow-moving carriages. This is an era of automotive espionage. They are using the cutting-edge technology of the day to shadow their enemies. They swap license plates, they disguise their cars to avoid detection, and they even use newspaper advertisements as a coded way to communicate and track movement. It is a mechanical, high-octane hunt that carries them from the Basque country into the vast, dusty plains of Castile. As they move through the countryside, the scale of the Duke's corruption begins to come into focus. They encounter the O'Donnell family, and through them, the protagonists realize that the Duke isn't just a social climber. He is a man who uses deceit as his primary tool of navigation. To get close enough to Monica to understand what is actually happening, Trevenna has to play a dangerous game of identity. He poses as the brother of the spirited Peeler O'Donnell, a move that gives him the social access he needs to slip into the Duke's inner circle. When he finally manages to meet Monica in secret, the truth is more complicated than a simple case of a woman being forced into a marriage. She reveals that her mother intercepted a letter from Trevenna, a letter that was twisted to make it look like he had been unfaithful. The social machinery of the time took a private misunderstanding and turned it into a permanent barrier. Monica isn't just a victim of her mother's ambition, she's a victim of the very etiquette and social codes that are supposed to keep order. The tension ramps up as the pursuit enters Madrid. The Duke, realizing he is being shadowed, moves from social maneuvering to literal sabotage. He attempts to wreck Trevenna's car, turning the journey into a cycle of mechanical warfare where a broken axle or a leaking fuel line can be as deadly as a gunshot. This leads to a terrifying low point in Granada. Trevenna is lured into a trap by a mysterious character known only as the Doctor. He finds himself held captive in a secluded cave, drugged and stripped of everything, left to rot in the dark. It is only through the resourcefulness of Dick Waring, who manages to track Trevenna through the labyrinthine underground conduits of the city, that he is rescued. By the time the group reaches Seville, the stakes have moved beyond romance or even personal honor. They are operating in the shadow of the state. The setting is the Semana Santa, the Holy Week processions, where the streets are filled with religious fervor, incense and massive ornate floats. It is a world of ancient tradition, and it is here that Trevenna's path crosses with the fate of the monarchy itself. In the climax of the action, during one of these massive processions, Trevenna spots something that no one else does. He realizes that a bomb has been disguised as a bouquet of flowers intended for an assassination attempt on the king. In a moment of pure instinctive heroism, Trevenna intercepts the bomb. This act changes everything. He is no longer just a man chasing a woman or a man running from his past. He is a man who has saved the crown. This act of bravery provides him with the political leverage he needs to finally confront the Duke on equal footing. The story reaches its final resolution in the Madrid bullring. It's a setting that feels perfectly suited for the resolution of such a high-stakes drama, a place where courage is tested and the truth is often laid bare in the dust. As Peter O'Donnell makes a daring and successful petition to the king to spare a bull, the political tension reaches a breaking point. Dick Waring steps forward to expose the Duke's web of lies, showing exactly how he had manipulated the social and political landscape to frame Trevenna and secure his own power. The king, moved by the truth and Trevenna's proven loyalty, intervenes directly. He vindicates Trevenna, restores his family's lost estates, and gives his blessing to the marriage between Trevenna and Monica. The Duke's tyranny is dismantled not by a sword, but by the exposure of his own deceit in the light of royal justice. When we look back at the story, there's a fascinating tension at play between the old world and the new. You have these ancient, ritualistic settings, the religious processions of Sevilla, the traditional bullring of Madrid, the rigid centuries-old rules of Spanish aristocracy, and then, cutting right through the middle of all that tradition, you have the automobile. The car is the great disruptor. It's the tool that allows Trevenna to defy the slow, predictable pace of social maneuvering. It's what makes the pursuit possible and what drives the modern, fast-paced energy of the plot. There's also the question of fate versus agency. The story starts with a chance encounter, a petrol leak or a sudden sighting in a motorcade, that seems to suggest that Trevenna and Monica are being pulled together by destiny. But as the book progresses, we see that destiny isn't enough. The characters have to fight for their own agency. Trevenna has to choose to be a hero rather than just a fugitive. Monica has to find the strength to resist her mother's social engineering, and Dick has to use logic and mechanics to navigate a world of chaos. The book also plays heavily with the idea of the mask. Everyone in this story is wearing one. Trevenna wears an alias, the Duke wears a mask of respectability, Monica wears the mask of the dutiful daughter, and even the bomb is disguised as a bouquet. The story suggests that in a highly stratified society, the truth is something that must be actively uncovered, often through deception, in order to achieve true connection. Ultimately, The Car of Destiny is a story about how the personal and the political are never truly separate. A man's desire for a woman and a family's desire for honor are inextricably linked to the stability of the throne and the laws of the land. It's an adventure that uses the speed of the modern age to crash into the traditions of the old, leaving a trail of broken engines and restored reputations in its wake.